and we've had to go again a couple of times, but we'll hope that it's all working. If one of you watching can let me know if you can hear me, that would be brilliant. Before we get into it, just a few of the usual sort of intro things. If you don't follow me already on Twitter, my page is there up on the screen for you already. If you can go and drop me a follow on there, lots of hopefully useful things coming your way between now and the start of the season. You'll see at the bottom there are 2 stream sponsors in Fantasy Football Hub and FPL Merch. If we start off with Fantasy Football Hub, there's a link in my description which will give you 25% off if you sign up before the start of the season. And they've got a lot of useful stuff, a nice new app coming out for you all there, as well as going forward. And FPL Merch, Ross, I have my FPL Merch mug. I don't know if good stuff. But sort of mini league prizes and all that is that if you don't already. And any of you that order today one of his mugs, you'll get a free glass that comes with it. So go and check him out on there. I just want to make sure that this is up and running and everything's working, because it is. If I just give me a second, Mo, if you could if you can hear. It seems to be on mine. So but without further ado, I'll introduce our first guest, our second guest, Mo in the chat, our first guest. Second guest, FPL Dave. I'm sure a lot of you know him. If you don't already, his page is there on Twitter. He's also over on Twitch, where he does most of his live streams. If you haven't seen them already, go and look at that. But the link is in the description to him as well, so go and check him out. Evening, Dave.
How's it going, man? How you doing? How's things? That was some intro. That was very serious. It
is very serious, the intro. I just got to tick through all the boxes. I think there is an audio delay between me and you.
I love that. Housekeeping right at the start.
Yeah, exactly. Get it out of the way. Get it out of the way.
There is a bit of a delay. It's going to be like when the news anchors are talking to the news reporters that are outside, and you just see them like, all right, and now Dave with the weather, and it's just me standing here going,
yeah, for sure.
Thanks, tips, and it's raining here in Glasgow. Back to you at the studio,
and it's raining here in London as well. So yeah, we'll deal with it.
Sorted.
Yeah, we'll deal with it as best we can. See, you've gone small again, but we'll deal with that. So, not much to go on.
It's how you
exactly. Now you've gone big again. Right.
Yeah, well,
so
that happens too sometimes.
Thank you, Dave. Evening, everyone. Sultan, Liam, Mo, everyone in the chat. Kartik. Yeah, we know it's lagging. We know that. It's lagging a little bit. There's not much we can do about that, but we will do our best. So I think a lot has changed since we were last on live. I think the last time I was on with it, we got the fixtures. Everyone was throwing different players into their teams, and little bits came from here and there. Yeah, how have you found the first week of tinkering with your new team, Dave? If I put your team up first, let me. There you go. Your team's up now. Oh, no, it's not. Yeah, it is.
I think we're lagging a lot, by the way. I think I'm watching a YouTube video. It seems to be like very...
Right,
I mean, the sound's fine.
Okay.
Sounds okay. We're a bit robotic. So that means if I move a lot, then people are going to be like, what the fuck is going on? Wait, sorry. What the hell is going on? I don't know if hell is better.
I'm going to turn...
I've already told you said try
to... I'm going to turn your camera off and see if that helps anything.
I'm just going to keep dancing though, if that's cool with you.
Yeah, but you're not on screen.
Oh, that's okay. I don't really.
But that's helped the audio. That's helped the audio lag quite a lot. So your team is on screen. Do you want to talk me through it?
Yeah, sure. So Ramsdale is in goals. Hopefully, yeah. Is that right?
Yeah.
Just in case I've sent you like the wrong screenshot.
No, he is.
Ramsdale's in goals. it really is a placeholder. If I put a 4.5 million goalkeeper in there and then I spend all my money, and in the end I really want someone who's 5 million, then I'm gonna have to redo the team. So I figured I'll just put a 5 million goalkeeper in there. It's Ramsdale for now, and if I want to downgrade later, I can. So that's the deal with that. I've got Alexander-Arnold, Tierney, Justin, and Maitland-Niles in defence. The reason why Maitland-Niles is in there is obviously you've probably heard the news. He's potentially going to Wolves, and it was Saliba in there in that place, but I thought I'll find the 0.5 million to upgrade him now, so that later on, it's kind of a theme, isn't it? Later on, if it happens, then I don't need to do anything. It's kind of the same thing as Ramsdale. So he's sitting in there. But if he does, if he doesn't go, then it'll change to Saliba. Hopefully, he can start. Justin's obvious. Tierney's obvious. Hopefully, Tierney's obvious to everyone who's listening. And you tips. Tierney is an obvious pick there, right? Yes. Is that contention?
Yeah, obvious pick. I'm not sure it's the right one. I can see exactly why you've done it, especially if they're going with that sort of three at the back, playing as a wing back. Yeah, he is definitely got potential those first few weeks, definitely.
Yes, Scottish legend. Right, next.
Exactly. English legend.
Tierney.
No, it was an Armstrong joke.
Oh yeah, that was hilarious, by the way. If you guys didn't know it, Tips did like an Armstrong versus Maximum thread, and it was so detailed and so well done. And the first two comments were me and another Scottish guy going, yeah, he's not English.
Yeah.
It was so good. Right, midfield, Salah, Aubameyang, St. Maximum, and Greenwood. So the price points are all there, if you notice, right? Salah and Aubameyang, that's my two big hitters. Aubameyang can of course change to anyone I want after 2 game weeks, depending on how I'm feeling. St. Maximum and Greenwood kind of makes up the kind of smaller side of the price points. Greenwood's going to be on the bench for the first game week, which is why Souček is there. However, like I said, I actually did have Armstrong and St. Maximum, but I needed that 0.5 million for the Maitland-Niles upgrade. So if I get that 0.5 million back from either the keeper or a defense position, then he'll probably change to Armstrong just for the first game week. And then Greenwood comes in. Up front is really where it's at, right? Werner and Ings. I don't know 100% about Chelsea, so that could potentially change to Kane. But for definite, Ings is going to be sitting there for as long as he's good. So I'm going to give him a good run in the team, maybe 10, 15 weeks. And just leave that point there. I love his price point. I don't like that I have to spend so much on Ings because I love him so much, and he was such an asset last year. And to pay 3 million more or whatever now this season is a bit rubbish. But I think he's just so good, and the fact that injuries are behind him means he can really fly. If you remember at the start of the season last year, Tips, Southampton first of all didn't have their tactics all set up. Like Hasenhutl's really got them working hard now, and also Ings had quite a bit of fatigue, I guess. He couldn't finish every game. He wasn't playing, like 1 in 4 games he'd have a rest, that kind of thing. And then as the season progressed, he's able to play the 90 minutes. So this is going to be like his first season where he's raring to go, and he's had a good season behind him. So I'm really, really hopeful for that. And on the bench is just Ferguson, classic, 4 million. Hopefully he starts. And Davis or whatever. I don't really. It's just a 4.5 million striker. Means nothing, mate.
No. Souček scored today. Someone in the chat just asking about Trent. He didn't play in the friendly today because he's sort of got a minor knock, but he's expected to be back for the cup match in a couple of weeks before the season starts anyway. So it's not a problem for the season. Interesting that you've gone. No, you go.
I talked to Ben. I double checked. I made sure. I asked Ben dinner
I know.
when I was talking to him. Is that why you heard? Is that where you heard it from? Yes.
Oh, I heard it on that. Yeah.
We are information. Yeah, and I made sure because it wasn't on the doc or anything. It wasn't in the notes for that episode. It was just a case of like, Ben, just while I've got you, can you please try and save me 1.5 million so I can downgrade Trent? And he was like, nah, he's gonna be back for the cup game. And I was like, right, okay, well that sucks. It would be lovely to not have to spend 7.5 million on the biggest owned defender of all time, but there we go.
Yeah. Is there anyone in your team before we look at mine that is that you are very worried about owning, you don't think you will own come game week 1?
Yeah, Chelsea assets. So I've been to and froing, but that's actually like when you said you want to come on the stream, I was like, yes, perfect. Yeah, I can talk about Chelsea a lot.
We definitely can.
Because I've never watched Werner. I don't really know anything about him. I just know what I've seen on Football Manager because I had a wee sneaky look, and he's pretty good. He's pretty good at Football Manager. So I thought I'll put him in there, and it means that I can reach Kane or Aguero if they start popping off. But I'm not 100% sure. I think I'd rather have a tried and true like Kane in my team and then downgrade if necessary, as opposed to the other way around. I'm just a little bit strapped for cash to do that at the moment.
Yeah, I think Werner, so if I just ping my team up, I've got Werner in my team at the moment. I really like him, and I actually think that the first 2 games, I know people think, oh, it's Brighton and Liverpool. I actually think they suit Werner more than people think. It's just why I'm going with Werner over the likes of Ziyech, because Brighton and Liverpool are 2 defences who notoriously don't sit back, and they play a fairly high defensive line, especially Liverpool, which is what Werner, especially in the Bundesliga, has really liked. So I actually think those games suit him, and I know people are like, oh, let's wait and see on Werner, see how he does in those first 2 games. But I kind of think that those first 2 games are going to be when you want to own him.
All right, okay. Well, that's good then, because he's only got 2 games, and then he's out, and then he's like, I'll make or break. Really, he does. That's the problem when you put in someone who you don't really know about, is that they, in your head, you're thinking they better perform as soon as, because if you're worried about them, you're not going to give them as much leniency as, say, someone who you know is good and is just maybe dipped in form a little bit, and that's the problem. I have just noticed that Gravy Dave in
the little number in the bottom right, which is all I have to go on all my tech knowledge, is going up, and it's much higher than it was. So,
well, that's good. That's good.
I think it is much higher, and it's staying up, and it's the light is green, so that's always a good sign. Oh, it's back.
Mate, the stream looks good.
And it's gone red again, but it's gone up to green again. So we'll go with this, and I'll cut out middle bits, but that's fine. So I've got my team up here now. We're back, and it shouldn't be a rerun. We should be ready to go. So looking at my team, I've got McCarthy in goal. I've actually got a sneaky little thread coming out in a couple of days on McCarthy versus Ryan, which is actually quite interesting, and it looks at who's the best to have depending on if you early or late wildcard, but I think I'll be going with one of the 2 of them. In defence, right, okay, gotcha. In defence, I've got Ferguson, Trent, Vinagre, and then Justin of Leicester and Taylor. Currently playing 3 at the back with sort of 4.5s, and then Trent. I mean, Trent is in everyone's team, isn't he? So there's not much to talk about on him. No. Vinagre, I don't expect come game week 1 he'll be in there. I expect something's going to happen. A signing will be made which will make us not want Vinagre.
Yeah,
Taylor.
Now looking at that position, and there's been a few people who have been shouted out from the Wolves side as being potential targets. So I mean, they're actively seeking that at the moment. So I'm sure they'll make some sort of, and even if it's not game week 1, do you want to have someone in there that's potentially, because obviously the transfer season's much longer this year, isn't it? So
yeah, but the issue is there's a lot of talk about Maitland-Niles, and a few guys in the chat are saying it, but it doesn't necessarily take Vinagre's plays, because there is a lot of rumours that Doherty is potentially going to Spurs, which then would mean Maitland-Niles would go in at the right back spot. But I would think that there is still going to be a signing which is going to impact Vinagre and his time in the team. I'm not confident.
I think I'd have him in the team automatically, potentially.
I'd rather him at. This is the thing, because if he goes to Spurs, he's going to be playing right back, and I reckon Wolves are a better defence, and he'll be playing a wing back in that Wolves team versus just a right back at Spurs, unless Jose changes his system. But I expect Wolves are I expect Wolves to keep more clean sheets than I expect we get from Spurs. So I kind of, if I wanted Doherty, I'd want him at
Yeah, I
Wolves.
think you're right. I think you're right.
All right. That was simple enough. On my midfield, currently we've got Salah, Aubameyang, Son, Greenwood, and then Saint Maximin currently, but Saint Maximin is to be discussed. Werner and then Mitrovic up front. I think Aubameyang and Salah is nailed in my team, as it is in a lot of our teams, as is Greenwood. I really like his price, and I've said it quite a few times now that I think he's probably, if they don't sign someone, if they don't sign Sancho or Messi now, he's going to be one of the best value players in the game.
We're on the same page with that. We both got him in our teams for game week 1 benching.
Yeah. It's a bench it. Then if you don't bench your United assets, you're going to be struggling to get them in come game week 2, game week 3, and then you're going to want your City assets in. So I think benching a United asset, who we know have got a good fixture in game week 2, is probably the best way to do it. I don't want to play my wild card game week 2 or 3. That's a no-go. I think you'll struggle later on if you do that. Yeah.
So what are you planning on doing with your wild card then, mate?
Holding it as late as possible. I think game week 8 onwards, if we can keep it to sort of game week 16 time as late as we can, I think it will really help in the second half of the season. But I just know that I've struggled last year, especially because I'd held it so late and I didn't make the ground in the early game weeks that I wanted to. So I'm going to try and save it as long as possible this year, because of the way, not in the grand schemes, I think it's in for sort of backup in that sort of Moutinho role. Because Moutinho's not got the legs into him to play.
He's so good though. Remember he had that little run and he was like assisting everyone and he was doing so well and making those awesome runs into the box from the right back position. I thought he was really good. Unfortunately, Saka's better and he kind of lost that, but still.
Yeah, but where's he going to go in that midfield then? If he's not going in for, if he's not back up and he's going to start in that midfield, then it's
because there's so many good players in there.
Yeah, I think it's hard. Just keep an eye on the pandemic. Many cancelled games could come. So I would definitely, as that's one of the main reasons I want to hold my wild card. I think this season will be full of blanks and doubles and things like that, and I think you've got to hold it as long as you can to get the best out of it. I think game week 2 is a very short-sighted way of going about it when there is a simple way of navigating this blank at the beginning.
Fair play. Nuclear Atoms has asked, will Mount play in the left wing now that Pulisic is still injured? He's asked twice now. I have no idea, but you know who might have an idea? Mad Peps might have an idea.
I think he probably might game week 1, but I wouldn't want to own him on that. I think Pulisic is out and Havertz hasn't signed yet. I expect Havertz to sign, but it's only two and a half weeks to the first game of the season. I think it's unlikely that Havertz plays game week 1, which would mean that Mount plays. Even if he plays cam or left wing, he'll probably start that opening game. Pulisic is probably not going to be back game week 1, but come game week 3, when our good fixtures start, Havertz will be in with the squad. Pulisic will be back fit. I wouldn't want to own Mount just for those first 2 weeks. So if you're playing your wildcard game week 2 or 3, then fine, go with Mount. But there's not enough solidity in his starting places to get him in, even at 7 million. It's a great price, but
solidity.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Like, so the problem with picking anyone who's covering for anyone is exactly that. But like, if we're picking Vinagre, it's easy enough to be like, you know what? Even if he is cover and he only has 3 game weeks, I could just swap him out for a Burnley defender, because by then they'll be back in the game and they'll have good fixture, blah blah blah, right? You could easily do that. Yeah. But if you do that with a Chelsea asset and they are popping off to the point where you're wasting a transfer. You're gonna have to sideways step from Mount to whoever you want, right? And that's so boring and annoying, and it's just a waste. Like, I would much rather have someone who I could keep forever. Like, assume that I can keep them forever, like Greenwood or something, right? And then, if necessary, if Chelsea are doing even better than Manchester United, then I can jump off him, right? I don't want to ever have to hope for the best for one team, and then if all goes well, I still need to make a transfer. That's the kind of backwards logic a little bit for me. So Manchester United or Man City or Liverpool or whoever, whatever good asset, and then swap over to the Havertz and the Werners or whatever after we find out who all the lineup stuff is, right? Instead of going for silly little Mount, who I don't think should make the team, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, I think once we've got everyone, I'd be surprised. I think he'll make the team when we play against so I've got sort of two lineups. One which has a midfield three of Kante, Kovacic, Havertz, and then another one which is Kante, Mount, Havertz, depending on what team we're playing. So you would want him to play against, but I wouldn't want to be going there. I think Havertz will be quite nicely priced. I expect him to come probably the same as Pulisic, 8.5. Or maybe at that 9. But with Mount, if you've got Greenwood for $500,000 more, there are no grounds to own Mount over Greenwood.
Yeah, because Greenwood's a beast and Mount's a little backup.
No, but Greenwood's playing on the wing.
Being the only person. Yeah, exactly. The only person that can take over Greenwood's place is Sancho. Like legendary English winger Sancho. Do you know what I mean? Imagine being that player. Like, you know what, Greenwood's really good, but you know who's better? Sancho. Whereas Mount's like, you know who's better? Probably Loftus-Cheek, who's been injured for 18 years of his life. That's rough. That's a rough place to be in a starting lineup. So, yeah, Greenwood all the way, mate.
Yeah, definitely. So I think Werner is my Chelsea pick, definitely the one that I'll be going with. Ziyech is the other possibility that I like. I think he's really well priced, and Pulisic when he comes back. But they're all worth the money over Mount is what we've come to. There's so much better ways to spend your money than Mount. His returns for the second half of the season were not nearly good enough from an FPL perspective, that is. But
gotcha.
So yeah. Right, so guys, keep getting your questions in. Moutinho, so this is what I was saying, Moutinho is 35 years old, Maitland-Niles trying to take his place for next season. It could very well be a centre-mid replacement. Nuno likes having those players who can play several positions, like Dendoncker, like Traore, like Jota, so he can have more of them in his team, and I think Maitland-Niles fits that really well, that he could play at wing-back if needed be, but he can also play centre-mid.
Right, I gotcha. Yeah.
But we will see. I think we'll probably get a lot of news on Wolves before the start of the season. If they don't sign anyone, then Vinagre will definitely be in my team and will be in a lot of teams.
Liam Healy. What's happening, mate? Long time no speak. Greenwood or Bruno, he said. Now, it's obviously Bruno. But the problem is that who are you taking out to afford Bruno over Greenwood? Now, if it's like Aubameyang, then I'm good with that. If it's Salah, then I'm not so good with that. And if you don't have Salah on your team and you're trying to get Bruno, then that's a bit of an issue as well. Because despite all our chat about Man City, Man United, like one thing is constant, and that is Liverpool were the champions. Liverpool being the best team, and Salah is their best player. And it's really difficult. Like I've seen people like, why Salah isn't in my team? Here's 10 different tweets, and I don't even read them. I'm like, I don't give a shit. Like, there's no way. And to be fair, I've seen a few drafts with people like Salah-less teams, and they look so good, except for the fact they don't have Salah in their team. Like, and I would never take their team over mine because of that. I would much rather have him and hold him throughout the season, than try and dip in and out when his stuff is not going super to plan. So yeah, it absolutely depends. If you're wanting Bruno, and you're avoiding a Salah or something, then no. If it's Son, though, I'd much rather prefer that Bruno over Greenwood. If all it takes is Son getting rid of your team, then yeah, definitely.
I'm not a Bruno fan, and I am unlikely. See, this is what happens. You go really big. I've decided to put your camera back on, see if that works. See your beautiful face.
Yeah, people can see me dance now. Check me out, I'm dancing. Guys, I've been dancing this whole time and no one has seen me. So I'm so glad this storm has allowed my camera. I bet it's going to break. Maybe it is my dancing.
Why does it? See, it just makes you really big. Like, I don't understand.
Oh, King Kong in the house. Right, let me do some. You fix that shit. I'm going to read this. Tips, how do you think Thiago Silva will be? Tips thinks he's going to be amazing. Next question.
No, I think on Thiago Silva.
4.5 defender with Doherty and Trent and McCarthy in goal. Not really sure. On double Southampton in the back. Yeah, don't do that. That's ridiculous. Anything but anyone other than Liverpool or City or something. Look how
right.
big I am. I've just noticed.
Yeah, it goes massive, and I have to make you really small again. Enjoy the moment in the limelight. You do get small pretty soon after. On Thiago Silva, I think he's like watching him in the Champions League final. He is such an upgrade on what we've got in defence at the moment. Like such an upgrade. I think he'll probably be 5.5. Looking at what Alonso and everyone else is saying, 5.5 is fair enough for him, and I think that's probably a good price. But what actually it makes me think is that Reece James at 5 million is a fantastic price. I won't want to own him game week 1 because I want to see us be able to defend more than for about 4 minutes like we did last season. But having Reece James on a 5 million he will be in teams at some point during this season.
You know what's so annoying about Reece James is that I've been doing a Football Manager save with Chelsea. So I did one during the summer, and it was me and James, Tongue and Loftus, and we were trying to win without making transfers, and we weren't taking it seriously enough. So after we came third in that, I decided to go back and do it again, and I eventually won the league without making a single transfer or loans, because that we kind of cheated the first time. And you know who was a beast? It was Reece James. He make an assist every second game. He's so good in Football Manager. It makes me like the first person I looked at was like, how much is Reece James? Because he's been doing bits in my team. And then you look at him and you look at his history and you're like, oh, you know what? I wish Chelsea could defend. So the fact that they're going to be potentially adding one of like, you know, the greats. Let's put it lightly. Like that's hard to ignore. But I'm absolutely on your side. Like, how do you think Chelsea's backline are going to line up? Because if it's Azpilicueta on that side and they're playing Alonso, then I don't think I would want Alonso. It's a bit too much money. But if it's Azpilicueta on the left and Reece James keeps a place on the right for a couple of games, then it's going to be difficult, especially with Chelsea's good fixtures going game week 3 onwards, of keeping him out of my team. And Tierney is shit fixtures after game week 3. So there's another reason to own Tierney, mate. It's an easy swap, and I already knew that because I've been eyeing Dockery, Tierney, and is it Cancelo, the cheapest in City? So there's been a few that I've been keeping an eye on, and Tierney's a really nice price point, and I think I can't stress enough how good price points are this season, mate.
Yeah, I think actually. I think Thiago Silva, I'd rather have Thiago Silva on the pitch than all 4 of our centre-backs on the pitch. I'd rather play one than all 4 of them. So that sums up how much better Thiago Silva is.
But together?
Yeah,
like
together.
Like a one in defence. What? That's a
it is.
German Rudiger.
I've seen him play. Did you see him play? See him play again. That's how bad he was. But I think it will be Chilwell at left back.
I think he's lost faith.
It's going to be Chilwell left back, Reece James right back.
If that happens.
Yeah, well, it seems pretty likely. It was meant to be at Stamford Bridge the other night, and I'm like 10-minute walk away. And tried to find him, but it wasn't. I didn't have the time, unfortunately.
To be fair, that's absolutely fine. That's no worries. By the way, someone's already asked about Messi. Know your thoughts on it.
Chelsea seem to be buying every player under the sun at the moment, so get Chelsea in at Stamford Bridge. But no, I think from an FPL perspective, and this may sound really strange, but I hope he doesn't sign for a Premier League club, because I think
I'm so with you. See if he does sign. It's gonna be so hard. Like, what am I can't pick now.
You have to have him if he signs.
What am I supposed to do?
If he signs, you have to own him.
Well, he's not going to be playing game week 1, mate. You're going to put him on your bench.
Yeah. I'll captain him.
On the bench, that'd be amazing. Who your vice captain? I feel like that's the most important vice captain of your season.
Yeah, that's true. Your audio's going slow again, so I'm going to turn your camera off. Goodbye.
I didn't even get to wave.
Yeah, that was it. You're straight out. Right, and then it goes big again. But oh gosh, this is a nightmare. But I think the likelihood is I just don't see which Premier League club can afford him that he'd go to. I don't see him going to United. I just don't see him playing for United. I don't see that. And I just don't know if City can afford him with the wage bill they've already got. I would love to see him at Juve.
Oh no, City have an unlimited amount of cash. There's no way. The only reason they don't sign the best players in the world in every position is because the rules won't let them. Don't be fooled by a little thing a little thing called wage bill. Like Man City will find a way. If it's Messi, they will find a
Yeah,
way,
that's
mate.
true. That's true. I hope he goes to Juventus because I'd love to see him and Messi play together with Pirlo as manager. That would be a beautiful thing. Like that would be incredible. I'd love to
Yeah.
see that. But
For football fans, that would be amazing.
yeah, from FPL, if he comes in, okay, he misses game week 1, but his ownership will be the highest ownership there has ever been in a player. They could price him at 15 million. He would still probably be the highest owned player there's practically ever been on this game. So you've got to find a way to get him in, and you've got to find a way, because if you don't, his captaincy will be so high anyway that as soon as he scores, you will practically be last in the world if you don't have him.
Well, let's pretend right now, right? You've got your team up,
Yeah. How do I
right?
get
Messi's
him in?
in 14. Let's say, well, okay. Let's say what's his price point? Because 14 is going to mess up the entire structure of the game, so I don't think it's going to be that much. But I think 13 is not out of the question.
I think it will be 13 minimum. I think 13 is probably about right.
Okay.
Maybe if we go with 13, how would I do that?
Yeah, let's do that because I feel like if they make him 14, then that's 2 million out of some other position. That's so difficult to do, and I don't think he's like that much. I'm like from an FPL point, of course he's the best player in the world, right? One of, but from an FPL point of view, I don't think he's going to be returning like much more than that would be worth 2 million on top of Salah or KDB or something like
No.
3.5 million more than KDB. Bruno, that's so difficult to justify. The only reason why we'd pick him at that point is because of the popularity. So, let's say 30 million exactly. Right, go.
So I have 500,000 in my team, or in the bank. So Aubameyang down to Kevin De Bruyne automatically allows Salah to Messi. I think it could be that simple.
Really?
Aubameyang to De Bruyne and Salah to Messi. If he's 13.
But you'd go without Salah just for Messi?
Yeah. Maybe I'm being
I would
reactional.
take Werner out your team and upgrade Aubameyang. I can't believe you would take don't compromise your entire core just for Messi. That's crazy. You've just taken out 2 your premiums for 1 premium.
No, but I have De Bruyne. I'd do Aubameyang to De Bruyne, so I'd have De Bruyne and Messi.
So you would double up on City, like that's the whole point. Yeah. Sorry.
But then would I?
No, that's fine then, I guess. So
would I need De Bruyne if I was going to have Messi? I might not need the double up, but I may go Messi, Salah.
That's the rub.
Yeah.
I think how I would do it is I would take Ings out for Mitrovic, and then I could afford Aubameyang to Messi, no bother.
Yeah. Son could easily go from my team, to be honest. He's fairly dispensable at this stage. But
sure, I know everyone's kind of got Son in, and they've kind of said the same thing. That's like, oh, he's there, but he might not be there. Like what? Son's like a season keeper because he's so streaky.
Yeah.
And so weird that by the time you get him in on a streak, he's gonna get you a red card as soon as you captain him. RIP my team. So what are you gonna do? Oh, did you captain him in the same week?
I sold De Bruyne for Son.
I wish he went to the bloody army in this case.
I sold De Bruyne for Son. Son got sent off and De Bruyne scored 19 against Arsenal.
Yeah, always captain Kevin De Bruyne, eh?
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts then on Son this year? Like, are you hoping that he's going to perform the same and then you're just going to own him all season? Or do you think you're going to maybe own him for a bit and see how it goes? Because, like, we've been burned before, Tips. Like, what are you going to do, Harry?
So, I had Kane and then I went with Son. I think because I couldn't afford Kane. I'd much rather Kane. I wonder if he's going to play in that sort of 2 up front role like he did at the end of last season, and then I'll be happy with Son at 9. I think that's a good price for him if he's playing in that sort of second striker role. But he's the fixtures are nice for him as well, which is part. If their fixtures weren't nice, he'd be nowhere near my team.
Someone said that he would love it if 80% of the game captain Messi and he's benched for Mahrez. I don't think anyone is benching a Messi for as long as he lives.
Literally
like
not.
KDB KDB is pretty much nailed, right? That's why he was such a good captain option, and that's why always captain KDB came out, because it's like he's not going to be rested unless he's played 8 games in a row and they're all midweek games. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He just isn't rested. He's too good. Messi is the exact same. Like he's better than KDB, so you can't do it to him at all. He would be in the same category of like a must own in that case. He'd be roulette proof.
If we look at the easiest... Well, actually, the thing is, City's fixtures are pretty tough to start the season in terms of attacking potential. If we look at the fixture ticker on Fantasy Football...
right down there, aren't they?
Yeah, Fantasy Football Hub, they're actually... Well, hang on a minute. It doesn't seem to be put in order. But they're pretty bad if we look at it. Wolves, Leicester, Leeds, Arsenal, West Ham, Sheffield United. That's a pretty tough opening run. So I probably wouldn't want to own more than one, but at the moment it'll be after that Wolves fixture. But I wouldn't want to own more than one.
Okay, well, let's put it this way, okay? What if I spin it in the same way that of the form of the last kind of 5 games, all right? Because I have also looked at the fixtures. I'm a huge fixture guy, and obviously Man City are fixture proof, but it's not as bad as the fixtures suggest, okay? So Wolves, Jimenez scored 2 goals in the last 5 games or something like that, right? And he was frequently only making maybe 1 to 2 shots a game, if that. There was one game where he did a 1 shot, 1 goal, and it was a header after Traore came on. And I was raging because people who kept Jimenez, despite knowing that they weren't doing that well in attack. Yeah, exactly. Like, I hate you. So there's Wolves, right? So they're not going to be attacking that much, right? What if Doherty leaves Wolves? It's going to be really difficult to kind of replace that he's such a pivotal role in that team. So there we go. So that's Wolves number 1. Leicester's defense was so bad. They had to have Morgan in their team. Like, Chilwell's not a bad defender. What happens when he leaves? Like, what are they going to do? That's going to be horrible defense for a little while until they figure that out. And even if they figure it out, it's not going to be the same. They've lost a lot of key players in the last couple of seasons from that defense. So I actually like that Leicester game for City. Leeds, like, we don't have to speak more about it. Promoted side, it's really difficult to say anything other than that is a good fixture. I don't care what team you support, Tips. Arsenal defense, we all know Arsenal's defense is very iffy. I know it got a little bit better. Tierney came in, and as much as I'm in love with the guy, Arsenal still have the devil, the red card every 5 games. Like, he's going to be sitting there centre back. You know exactly what I'm talking about, Mr. Louise. Yeah. Like, that's a hard sell. If Leno's back, then it might be a little bit more difficult. However, Martinez was doing really well.
Back. Leno started today.
He's back. Was he playing today? I missed it.
Yeah, he started today, yeah.
Did he? Right, so he's back, which means that it's going to be a little bit more difficult. But still, I don't know. Arsenal are... So that's pretty good for an attacking team, right? We're not worried about City's defence, so we don't need to worry about that game. West Ham's fine. Sheffield United, despite Sheffield being good, that's fine. Liverpool's a difficult game. That's game week... That's game week 7 for them, or game week 8 for us, right? So that's not bad. That's 6 games of arguably decent attacking fixtures. And then after Liverpool and Tottenham, game week 10, they play Burnley, who they score 5 goals against every single season. So I don't actually like this. Yes, on paper they are really bad fixtures, Tips, but I'm still bringing KDB in. Or Messi. I'm still bringing someone in. And I really hope, this is my, if I could pray for anything this season, it wouldn't be Messi coming in. It wouldn't be Sancho. It wouldn't be any transfers, right? I just want Aguero to start. All I want. I want Aguero at 10.5. That is the juiciest of all juices to come out of this FPL shit this season, is that Aguero is really, really affordable. I would love it if he played.
Yeah, it is a great price for him. I think you can't go without a City asset. I just don't think that I'd invest in how much they cost to own 2 of them. I just would be going with one, which I think is probably what we agree on.
Yeah.
Cool. A couple of things flying through the chat. So, T Don't Ramp has asked, do we think United's lack of squad depth will impact them again, like they did, I suppose, like it did at the end of the season? We saw them drop off in form because they couldn't rotate. Do we think that come game week 10 or something, they're going to really struggle again? And so we need to impact.
I missed that. You cut out a little bit. Who are we talking about?
Sorry, United. So if they don't have the squad depth,
United.
If they don't have the squad depth that they have, then will they struggle because they can't rotate anyone?
Nah, they're not going to struggle. They're going to be amazing. They've got the best fixture run that they've ever had to start a season, and on top of that, it's not like they're playing. I know everyone kept saying that some of their players look really tired. Bruno specifically has been called like fatigued. Yeah. But I mean, how tired would you be if you were literally holding Man United on your back? You were literally holding them up for 10 game weeks. You'd be tired as well. And let's not forget, like, that was a really, really quick turnaround for a lot of those games. So one game a week for, I don't know, 4, 5, 6, 7 game weeks is going to be nothing. It takes Ben Dinner said it takes 72 hours for perfect recovery, and there's more than that for every game. So I think it's going to be absolutely fine. I have no problems with that. The squad depth really doesn't come into play until maybe December, I think.
Yeah, well, if Ben Dinnery says it, then we go with it. That's as simple as that. Ben Dinnery says 72 hours.
100%.
Then...
Like, I mean, he's really shit at FPL, right? But he's so good with injuries.
That's that done then, right? All the injury-prone players, Ings is in my team, everyone like that, they've got 72 hours. But if we look at United, they've got the easiest fixtures from game week 2 to game week 10. They rank first on the fixture ticker. So it's a really nice run they've got there. So it is definitely worth looking at one of them. Right, we've got a lot of questions, so we'll try and get through them. I think Bruno versus Greenwood is an interesting one. I personally actually much prefer Greenwood. I think Bruno's 10.5 price isn't worth 3 million over Greenwood. Because he does, I know he relies, we say, penalties and all that, but he does rely on them a lot. And if they don't start getting them, if people start working out that United attack so they don't foul them in the box as much, he's going to dry up. I just would prefer the United sort of Greenwood cover that we've got there. I think his price is too good to ignore.
Yeah, I agree. Although I think that they just are better at drawing fouls than anyone else, and they're so good at it, even with VAR, or especially with VAR probably. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. Because, I mean, if teams could have figured it out, they would have figured it out, I don't know, 2 seasons ago or something. Like, they still do it every season. Remember Pogba? 10 goals or something in his first season? Everyone was like, well, it was just penalties. But that's all you need. And everyone had Pogba at one stage or another in that season, that 18-19 season, because of those penalties. So even if it's not 15 like last season, it's still going to be enough to draw me into Bruno. 10.5 isn't, that's not all he does. That's why his price is so high, right? Corners, free kicks. He's also a belter at hitting some long shots. So penalties are not all he offers. So I feel like he's just got a little bit of a bad rep. I've heard this in 1 or 2 different places, and it kind of does my nut in.
Yeah, I think we'll see. I'm not going to own him game week 1 or going forward. I may regret that, and I may have to
neither am I. No, neither am I. I'm not going to own him.
So we got captain Salah or Alba game week 1.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Aubameyang, because this year I'm keeping captain simple, and if everyone's captain Aubameyang, then so am I.
Yeah, I'm trying to do the same with captaincy, keep it more simple than I did last year. I had 23 out of 38 captaincies last year, which really didn't help my rank at all last year. So definitely we'll be trying
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's low, isn't it? So I need to be trying to do as much as I can to get that up, as much as they can. I know everyone's like they can't get as many penalties next season, but I suppose they've done it enough years now that surely it's just normal. It's like when you have a player,
there's just someone in their coaching thing has went, you know what, I've got a really good idea. How about we just play for penalties? And everyone's been like, yeah, that's a really good idea. Don't tell anyone. That's not the case. Like, everyone knows. Everyone has known. Any team that comes across Man United, their defensive coach has been like, right, they like to draw foul. Don't play them on the wrong foot. Just try and get behind them and time your runs accordingly, and just delay until you can have 2-on-1. and then you can block. And that's what everyone tries to do against Rashford and the other side, and Greenwood and all that, and Bruno. But they're just so good at it that it doesn't matter. It's not like it's not like teams have stopped trying. It's just that they're good at it. So let's just capitalize on that.
Yeah, exactly. I suppose it goes back to the thing, there's talk of XG and stuff like that. When a player has overperformed his XG, when United have overperformed their penalty numbers for however long, when does it start becoming that's normal for that player? And we're not saying that they're overperforming. So I think it's probably getting to that stage now with United.
Yeah, how many times have we? Yeah, how many times have we said that you can't just look at one thing? You can't just be eye test 100%, right? You can't just be stats 100%. You can't just be XG 100%. Like, you need to have a little bit of an all-rounder knowledge. I know some people can do it, but the vast majority of us aren't, savants. We're not all later riser, right? We can't just watch Man United and go, yep, I'm captain of Martial. Like, some of us need a little bit of help. And although, yes, XG kind of paints a little bit of a picture, you got to look at the whole, my man.
Yeah,
totally agree.
Right, so we'll get into, it's almost 9 o'clock, so we'll get into our sort of the final run through of all the questions. We'll try and answer these as quickly and as swiftly as possible, but any more that you've got, get in there and I will go through with that. Is it, with the season potentially being disrupted again by COVID, are we sensible to have more money spent on our bench than we do currently and have had to do in the past? I'd probably go with maybe slightly. I'd probably have, the way I've got it, I've got two 4.5 defender, a 4.0 defender and a 4.5 striker. I've got that 4.5 defender and that 4.0 defender who I know are going to play every week. So I've definitely got more depth than I probably would have done at this time last year.
Yeah, that's to say, like, as long as they start, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think Ferguson's an interesting one. I think there's a lot of talk about him today as he didn't start for Crystal Palace, but apparently he's just coming back from injuries. But it looks as though he might not be fit for game week 1, which is when we need him. So it's worth keeping an eye on that if anyone does have Ferguson in their team, as I do. So do we think Laporte can match Van Dijk for points? 6 million for Laporte looks decent. I'll throw that one your way.
No. The answer is no. He's not going to. And here's the thing why, right? So, like, yes, Van Dijk is awesome, and yes, Laporte is pretty awesome. But what defense is better? And Robertson, and Van Dijk are better than the weird thing that Pep does with his wing backs, where he rotates them every 3 games. Like, there's the reason why Liverpool are such a solid defense is because they're so used to each other. They know exactly where everyone's going to be at the same time, and unfortunately, like, they've been jostling back between Stones and Otamendi and maybe Fernandinho at centre back sometimes. Not to mention all the different Mendy's and stuff that have been on the wings. And now they've just brought in another player, Ake. Is he going to be back up? Is he going to be playing every? Because see, if they start playing the same back four every single game, then I'll maybe pay attention to that. But until that's the case, like, Van Dijk's they're just gonna be a little bit of better core unit in Liverpool. So,
I think
that's my opinion.
If we look at these very shiny looking nice Opta stats from Fantasy Football Hub, link in the description for 25% off if you want it. City kept 17 clean sheets, 2 more than Liverpool last year, but I think it's that rotation aspect of it that we know Laporte has had this injury. He won't play every game, so I'd probably invest in Van Dijk, and Van Dijk's probably got more goals in him this season as well to make up for those lack of 2 clean sheets.
But and you remember, like, Alisson was injured a little bit as well, and Liverpool were severely like, everyone had maybe 2 to start with, and that kind of fell to shit because they weren't doing as well at the very start. They kept, like, even though I know we're supposed to be going quick, mate, but even though they actually conceded a lot less, it was just 1 goal a game for like 8 game weeks, and everyone was raging in FPL. But in real life, they're really, really good. It was just FPL. You only see 2 points. You're like, oh shit, they weren't doing that well. Yeah. But yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. It's a hard sell for me on Laporte.
So just on the back of that, is double or even triple Liverpool defence risky? I think triple is a no-go. I think double is doable, but I'd be just going with 1 to start the season.
I liked the Joe from Scout said that if you got Trent and everyone else has got Trent, then the only thing that's going to help with that is if you get a second Liverpool defender, because you don't have any option other than to have Trent. If you don't have Trent and he does well, your overall rank's going to plummet, and if you do have him, you're not going to move at all. So the only way to move up with Liverpool defense is to have both of them. So I do like that point, and I'm not against the idea of having two.
No, I'm not. I just, if their fixtures were better than they are, I know they can keep a clean sheet against anyone. Robbo definitely tempts me. I think it is definitely worth having a look at, because I've got sort of Mitrovic in my team, and there's not that much difference in money between having Mitrovic or having Van Dijk in my team, so it could be an easy swap there.
Yeah, you might as well just have one up front.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
4 mil defender and 4.5 defenders that are not Justin or KWP. So 4.5, the 4.0 defenders that we're looking at the moment are Ferguson at Crystal Palace, what's his name at Ham, the right back, Johnson at West Ham, and then Branthwaite at Everton. I mean, none of them we know. Johnson looks like he's going to start at West Ham, but their fixtures are too bad to even consider picking him. So it looks like Ferguson, and we sort of hope he plays at the moment.
Yeah. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that.
And then 4.5 defenders, not Justin and not KWP. Taylor, make sure you've got a Burnley defender in there. They've kept, as we see there, 15 clean sheets this season. It's just worth having.
But are you going to keep him forever?
Probably.
Are you going to keep him forever? Are you going to bring in Taylor and then just have him on your squad for the rest of the season and then play him whenever have? Because I think what the problem is that like you're going to have to play him every game, and if you're not prepared to do that, then there's no point in having him.
Well, I won't play him when he's got Liverpool or he's got City or he's got Chelsea, but if he's not playing the top four, I'll probably play him. They're so good defensively.
Oh no, I'm not saying they're not good. I think the problem is that Pope was so good because even in those iffy fixtures, he still very rarely didn't get at least 2 bonus points from saves, whereas Taylor's not going to do that. So, I mean, yes, Taylor is going to have more clean sheets than your average 4.5 midfielder, or sorry, defender potentially. But at the same time, like he's not going to be anywhere near Pope's, and if that's what you're doing it for, then maybe have another thing. But yeah, I agree with you that it's a decent for 4.5 is hard to go wrong. But yeah, just think they don't start game week 1 is what's a bit itchy for me. Yeah,
it's annoying they don't play game week 1. I think I suppose the difference this season is there's that £1 million gap between Pope and the Burnley wing back, the Burnley fullbacks even in Taylor. So I suppose last year it was a no-brainer because it was sort of £500,000 difference, but now it's a sort of 4 mil and our squad value is lower, so there's a lot more that can be done with that. I personally think he's a good value. You don't. I suppose that's a bit of a split down the middle. A couple of opinions.
Oh, he's definitely good value. I'm not going to play him for at least 5 game weeks or something. Burnley's fixtures are just atrocious, and I'll probably pick him up when I need to. But what I think is his price is going to go down. His price, like Burnley aren't going to do as well at the start because of XYZ. He doesn't play. Maybe a bunch of people aren't going to realize he's not playing game week 1. I'm hoping to pick him up for like 4.4, mate.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. When he drops in price, is Trent a viable captaincy option? Not necessarily in game week 1, I think, but I think we can talk about game week 1. I think he definitely is, and I actually think when it comes to a double game week, I will be looking to captain Trent or Robbo, just because I think if you've got 2 good home fixtures, let's say in a double game week, the chances are Trent's probably going to return 10, and if you get that from your triple captain, that's great. So I definitely think it is worth this season. We've seen Trent do a couple of seasons that we shouldn't be scared of it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I was in Amsterdam when that double was happening, and I captained Salah, and everyone captained.
Oh, let's not.
What's his name? What's his name? Remind me. Mane. Oh yeah, it was Mane, wasn't it? He got injured in 25 minutes or something. It was a really, really good day in Amsterdam for me.
No, really bad day for me.
My mate who I was with actually captained Trent at the same time, and I was rooting for him, he was rooting for me, and we were just against anyone who captained Mane. So it was a perfect situation for us. We were in the pub, and it was great.
Right.
And actually, like halfway through the game, I was really into Trent. Like I kind of wished I'd captained him. So like that's all you need. If you're worried about Trent, then that means he's a captain option.
Yeah, definitely. Final question is Leno, if he's going to be fit, a good option at 5 million? I think he is, apart from a keeper you want to set and forget with, and I think their fixtures are too bad at the start to set and forget with him. I think there's better options to go with, but I think there's definitely times, if looking into the second half of the season, if they have a nice run, that Leno will be a good option, but I think there's probably better options at 5 at the moment.
Yep, agreed.
Perfect. Well, that's all the questions that we've got in the chat. So just, if you don't already, I know you can't see him. Well, we'll bring your face back on.
I turn your face off, mate. It's time for a date.
Up your audio, but I'll do the talking and you can just wave. Oh, you've gone all small again. Right, let's make you bigger, but then it will make you really big. So I'll just have to keep faffing around with it. If you don't follow Dave on Twitter or on Twitch already, please go and do so. The links to all that is in the description, and there is his page there. If you want to check out FPL merch, have a look at that. And if you make any orders today, you get a free glass that we've got. Shout out, you get a free glass with all of your orders if you make it today, so go over and let them know that you've come from this stream, would be great. And if you guys are interested in the Fantasy Football Hub subscription, 25% off before the start of the season. If you look at the link in the description, we'll get you 25% off. But that's all that we've got for tonight. You can say your goodbyes, Dave.
Bye, Dave. Thank you, everyone, for having me. I had a great time. I know that we were a bit plagued with the storm weather and all that stuff, but I had a great time, mate. Anytime I'll come back on. I don't mind.
Perfect. I know I'm looking to do a sort of rate my team one. I know you did that, and you've probably got one coming on, but something along those lines before the start of the season.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So potentially, but yeah,
80 and 80 minutes. That was fun.
Dave, you've messed it up.
What'd I do?
I don't know what's happened, but I think they can they hear me? We've played the outro.
I messed